Hola amigos, here I am. Hope you're well. We are going to have a little lesson today on the imperfect tense. So, as you know from the book, there's a brief introduction to the imperfect tense, but they don't really teach you it properly. So, given that you're top set, I am going to give you a little lesson. So, first of all, can we have title, please? The imperfect tense, underlined, okay, y la fecha, okay, the date as well. So, the first thing to point out, guys, is that, I want you to take notes in the normal way, okay. Bear in mind that we have done another past tense already called the preterite, okay? So that was the first past tense we learnt, and this is the second one, okay? So it's really important that we learn the difference between these two to start with, okay? So the imperfect tense is used to describe things in the past, okay, and often things that were happening at the time. So it's different from the preterite because the preterite is always used for what we call a completed action in the past. So, for example, I ate the apple. I went to the cinema. Okay, whereas things that if you're describing what was happening at the time. Okay, in fact, there's a little example here. If we just go down a little bit, sorry, on my place. So, here's a really good sentence that just gives you, makes it clear to you. So, Oliver was speaking when Charlie entered. Okay, so if we just look at the sentence in English, the entered in blue is preterite, okay, so that's a completed action, and was speaking is imperfect, because that's what he was doing at the time. All right, so just going back to our fundamental descriptor, okay, the imperfect tense is used for describing things in the past, things that were happening at the time. Okay, so the first thing we need to learn is how to form it. Okay, so if we just go down a little bit, okay, so that's the explanation I just gave you. All right, so it's not a quick or finite action. This new tense, the imperfect, is describing an action that was taking place at the time or over a period of time. Okay, it'll become clearer. Now, the good news is this is a seriously easy tense. Okay, very, very straightforward. So, like the preterite, there are only two sets of endings, which is great. So we haven't got too much to learn. So the ER and IR endings are a pair, exactly like the preterite. Okay, and we also use the stem of the verb to form it. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the endings first of all. Okay, so bear in mind you'd have the stem first, but we'll see that afterwards. So these are our two sets of endings. Okay, and you'll see the ones on the left look rather strange. We've not really seen a set of endings that look like that at any point in Spanish, whereas here the ia endings you might have seen something similar before. Okay, so for an AR verb it goes aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban. Okay, notice the accent here. That means we have to place stress on that. Okay, so that's really important. Notice here, though, for the ER and IR, there's an accent on every single one. So it goes ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. Okay, so far so good. So what happens is we take the stem and then we put that on the end. Okay, so just before we do that, in fact, we're going to go, sorry, apologies, go back. So what I want you to do now is to take an AR verb. I'll give you one. Okay, so here you could practice with trabajar, okay, to work. That's a verb you're familiar with. Okay, could you write out, please, all 6 parts of trabajar? Okay, so obviously you need to take off your AR first and then you apply the ending. Could you also write the translation for each one? Okay, so we said it translates as was doing. So the first one, just to give you a start, is trabajaba. I was working. Okay, that's your first one. You're going to write out the others. Okay, and here I'd like you to do it with because we're on the city topic, we'll do it with vivir, okay, to live. So your first one there, if we take off the IR, would be vivía. Vivía meaning I was living, okay? So hopefully we're happy with that so far. All right. So do that, and then you, so maybe press pause and then come back to me. Right, so other points to make. It can, just so you know, be used to translate to as used to. So comía actually doesn't just mean in English I was eating. It could mean I used to eat. So it's a really, really useful tense, this. It gives us much more control in Spanish. Okay. Now, do spot, though, the light from the window is causing a problem. So the I and the he, she endings are exactly the same. Okay, so that is something you should note. It doesn't cause an issue because we can always tell by the context what's being talked about. Okay, so for example, here in this sentence, salía de casa cuando mi amigo también salía. Okay, so I was leaving home when my friend was also leaving. Okay, so we can basically tell. Of course, we could put yo before there to clarify, but we can essentially tell from the context. So that's the he, she ending, and that's the I ending. Okay, I'd like you to make a note of this, please, guys. Bien, amigos. So hopefully, so far, you're pretty happy with this tense. Now, there are a couple of irregulars, but we won't do that today. Okay, so I want us to stop here. Okay, so that's the last thing you need to write down. And now I would like you to, in fact, do a little bit of practice. Okay, so again, you can just pause if you want. So you are going to write out how to say in the imperfect these verbs. Okay? So we're just going to do the first 12 because they are all regular. Okay? So again, just press pause. I'll put this on the Google Classroom for you as well. Okay? All right, chicos. After that, what I'd like you to do is go to Quizlet. Okay? So if we... sorry, I'll just find out where we are. Obviously, thank you to Quizlet for their services. Okay, so Right, so we need to look for the imperfect now. Let me just see if you guys have got access to that. 1 second, un segundo, chicos. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Future tense. Oh, caramba, no lo encuentro en ningún lado. Okay, so I'm going to upload that for you now. Okay, so I'll just pop that. Here we go, verb tenses. Imperfect. Okay, that has got some of the irregulars in it. That's the only thing to point out. Okay, but maybe you won't mind a little bit of an introduction in that way. Okay, so here it is. I will add it to your folder. Okay, so that you have got access to that. All right. Okay, guys, I'll put that document up. Adiós y hasta pronto. Nos vemos. Chao.